Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving right into something you probably think you left way behind on the playground. Yeah, we're talking about curiosity. But look, we aren't viewing this through some hazy, nostalgic lens of childhood. Instead, we're unpacking our source text to look at curiosity as a dynamic, highly intentional tool for our adult lives. If you're someone who is hyper-focused on continuous growth, learning faster, and just breaking out of those stagnant daily routines, you are in the exact right place. Let's get into it.
So the author kicks things off with a thought that honestly hits pretty close to home. When did I lose this part of me? I lost it when I was fully grown. It's this massive pivot, right? Going from a deeply personal realization of loss straight into a universal adult experience. Because as we age, we kind of just stop letting life interest us. We build these rigid routines, we assume we already know exactly how the world works, and we get incredibly stubborn about things, like refusing to use the manual when putting together new furniture. We lose our life touch. We completely forget that we used to not let life stop us, back when everything felt completely new and engaging.
Section 1. The loss of curiosity. Where exactly did it go? The author introduces a really massive paradigm shift here. Think about the balance between these two concepts. On one hand, you have learning, and on the other, making mistakes. Now, as adults, we usually see mistakes as a failure, right? A total breakdown of the learning process. But the text treats them as equal halves of the exact same journey. Making mistakes is literally given the exact same weight as learning. To find our footing in everything we do, we have to realize that missteps aren't roadblocks. They're quite literally half the pavement on the path to growth.
Which brings us to a crucial point, redefining what curiosity actually is. We usually think of it as this fleeting feeling, a spark that just hits you out of nowhere. But our source redefines it completely. It's an innate skill. It's a state of being that requires attention, intention, and practice. You have to actively bring it about from within. It is not passive. You can't just sit around waiting to feel curious. You have to put in the work to generate that state of mind.
Section 2. Curiosity as a skill. How to cultivate it from within.
What's super interesting here is how this abstract concept gets broken down into a highly practical step-by-step method. Step 1, be spontaneous. Just bend your rigid schedule a little bit. Maybe take a totally different route to work just to see what's out there. Step 2, teach yourself patience. This one's huge because, like we just talked about, you're going to make mistakes, and patience is what lets you weather them without shutting down. And step 3, learn how to think on your feet. This triad right here, spontaneity, patience, and adaptability, is the exact formula the text gives us to develop that innate curiosity through active, daily practice.
I really want to double down on this idea. It is something we can bring about. It needs attention and intention. Regaining this trait takes deliberate, active mental focus. You are literally the architect of your own curiosity. By consciously paying attention to your surroundings and setting the intention to be interested, you actually summon the curiosity that fuels your continuous evolution.
Section 3, the art of unlearning. Letting go to move ahead. The task asks this beautifully simple yet wildly complex question: how to find ways to think. And I want to pose that directly to you. When your brain relies on decades of mental shortcuts, assumptions, and baked-in routines, how do you actually find new ways to think? How do we break out of those rigid adult patterns that we used to warn our younger selves about?
Well, the answer the text gives is powerful and honestly pretty counterintuitive. You have to learn to unlearn. Curiosity is defined here as moving ahead and experiencing the new territories that life brings about. But you can't really step into new territory if your hands are full of old maps that don't even apply anymore, right? Unlearning is this deliberate shedding of your assumptions so you can experience things fresh and bring about actual change. And I absolutely love how the author grounds this mentally exhausting process of unlearning into a physical sensation. They talk about feeling this right in my body. That curiosity teaches us to just take it easy. Unlearning means moving forward regardless of outer influence. It's about quieting all that external judgment and giving ourselves the grace to be imperfect. By making sure there's plenty of room to make mistakes, we take the pressure off. We don't have to be the uptight adult who pretends to know everything. We just get to be the explorer who's willing to give it a shot.
Section 4. Innovation and connection. The tangible outcomes.
Okay, so it all kicks off with exploration. Embracing curiosity is what starts the engine. It opens our eyes to new opportunities that are quite literally waiting right outside our doors, shifting our entire posture from defensive to expansive.
And right on top of that, we layer innovation. The text explicitly points to curiosity as the absolute starting line for innovation. When you explore without constantly fearing you're going to make a mistake, you become incredibly sure in your creation. You stop second-guessing every single new idea because simply generating the idea becomes the reward itself.
Which leads right into generation. This imaginative state just gives and gives. It isn't some finite resource. Curiosity constructs entirely new ideas in a constant state of generation. It feeds your imagination endlessly the more you use it.
But here is the ultimate culmination of all of this: community. The end goal of this exploration, innovation, and generation isn't just to be some isolated genius. The author realizes that bringing about connection and belonging is the true peak of a curious life. Recognizing that my place is the same as the next-door neighbor is what bridges the gap between our own internal growth and the people around us. Let's summarize the actionable commitments the author makes at the end of the text. These are things we can all adopt right now. Bring about change to yourself. Join your community. Cultivate your purpose from within. And above all, realize that you know not much, so that you can purposefully stay a lifelong learner. Admitting you know not much isn't a weakness here. It's honestly the ultimate superpower that keeps the door to learning wide open.
I want to anchor us on this really profound realization from the text. As there is life, there is exploration. The author makes a real point to remember this as they get older. It is absolutely never too late to be curious. As long as you have life, you have the capacity to explore.
Which leaves us with one final thought. We've tracked the logic from childhood loss all the way to adult reclamation, and we know for sure it requires attention and intention. So the question for you is, how will you intentionally practice unlearning today to reclaim your baseline of curiosity? Take a hard look at your routines, find just one assumption to let go of, and go spark your next big idea. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.